Coming up on Mountain News this morning, people across our region continue to deal with a lack of running water at their homes and businesses. And crews work around the clock to bring water services back to those impacted communities.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
4:59 here on this Friday morning. I'm Dakota Makeris. Thank you so much for waking up with us, and we made it to Friday. Let's head over to Brandon Robinson for a look at our temperatures. And Brandon, I'm basically wearing Chacos this morning because it feels like summertime.
Well, here's the thing. I did leave my big jacket at home. I wore like a fleece vest to work, but it's a lot warmer than it was this time yesterday. Definitely no frost today, but we still have that same swing, that same crazy swing. From the 30s, as we look at our temperature map, to almost 60 degrees this morning. So again, the further north and west you are, the warmer you are. 30 in Jonesville, but that's the coldest. I mean, even Jacksboro's at 32, Clintwood's at 36. I mean, all these temperatures across the board is basically one of those situations where you would see these as daytime highs this time of the year. But again, these are morning lows right now. Again, 30s, 40s, 50s, almost 60s. So from this time yesterday, we're 10 degrees warmer in Prestonsburg, 13 degrees warmer in Moorhead, 20 degrees warmer in London this morning, and 13 degrees warmer in Williamsburg. But everybody that's online, just a little bit warmer. So we're going to shift back just a little bit to like a normal, maybe even an iced coffee day for some out there this morning. And then you'll see a little extra for those folks who are still a little bit on the colder side. Your out the door forecast, we're going to try this again because yesterday we forecast 61, got to 67. So we're going to try 66 today and see how that fares for us. But again, sun this morning, clouds later on, but the rain chances should hold off until tonight. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, households and businesses continue to face water woes across the region. In Martin County, some say water shortages have become a yearly occurrence. Our Keaton Hall reports from Inez.
Folks in Martin County are facing a similar issue to many around the mountains, water shortages.
We're dipping water out of the creek up there to flush our commodes. School starts, kids can't bath, they can't go back to school, but yet they're going to be counted absent.
Harold Loggery lives outside of Inez. He says he and his neighbors have been without water for days.
We don't know if we'll have water or if we won't have water. I mean, the pipes are old. We know all this. That's not what we're talking about. People need help whenever the water's out and they're not providing it.
Martin County emergency management officials have been providing free water bottles, but Lowry says by the time he hears about it, the water's gone.
This goes on every year. The one year, our sheriff knocked on our door and gave us bottles or jugs of water. It's not his job to do.
Officials with Martin County Water say they're doing what they can, but an outdated system means they have trouble preventing leaks.
Honestly, we need to replace every single line in our system. That's the deal. We've got lines that aren't buried deep enough. They're not below the frost line. Service lines. I mean, we've got a lot of issues.
Kerr says this year they've been able to respond faster thanks to winterization efforts and long hours from water crews.
I said, if you see one of our crew guys out, you need to give them a hug because they're the heroes in this whole thing. They have been out there. They've missed holidays, Christmas. They're going on next to no sleep. It's been cold.
Still, low tank levels mean water shortages will continue until at least Friday. In Inez, Keaton Hall, WYMT Mountain News.
Well, the Martin County Water and Sanitation District is asking if you see a leak to report it by calling 606-298-3885. Well, the city of Hazard is dealing with its own water issues. Many customers have little to no water. City Manager Tony Eversole says crews are working to repair broken pipes to get the tanks refilled. He also says they are working to replace those old lines.
And everybody's heard us talk about the old pipes that's been in since the 50s. We have got those areas approved for grants and for funding, but just like anything else, we're waiting on the funds.
Well, he says during cold snaps, people living in Hazard should not drip their faucets because it helps empty water tanks. Well, folks in Eastern Kentucky are not the only ones dealing with water troubles. In Lincoln County, hundreds of people are without water. About 500 people in McKinney, serviced by the McKinney water system, were impacted, but their hardship became worse when the Stanford water system cut off its supply to their community. Stanford officials say they had to cut off the supply because most of their water was being used by McKinney residents, which was depleting their reserves. Officials say water has been gradually restored to McKinney after shut off on Sunday. Well, in Wolfe County, the city of Campton says water is being sent in. The city is getting it from Morgan and Lee counties. With the lines being drained, the city says it will take time for water to be fully restored. For now, drinking water is available to people who need it. You can pick it up at City Hall. Well, there are a few other impacted locations that have started having water service restored. In Floyd County, Wilma Kidd says she had not been able to do dishes, laundry, or even flush the toilet for nearly 1 week. That changed on Wednesday as water service was restored to her home.
I don't know how much you appreciate something until it's gone.
A Southern Water spokesperson says there was a 4-inch line going into the area that was broken, and crews have been working nonstop in affected areas to get the water flowing once again. Burst water pipes are not the only problem that's resulted from the recent winter weather. Flights, including those offered by Southwest Airlines, have been canceled. One Kentucky woman says she was visiting family for the holidays, but she's now stuck in North Carolina because of a canceled flight. Jan Bray says she is not worried about her luggage, but she is worried about her medication. As a dialysis patient, Bray says she takes about 28 pills a day to combat the symptoms of her treatment, but she says now she's running dangerously low on several of them.
It's 4 medications that I'm out of. It's not just about getting home, it's about these kind of, help me live.
Well, she says her doctor was able to get an emergency order of medication that should get to her in time. She says she is fortunate to be with her family as she deals with her medical issues, but she worries that other people may not be as fortunate. She has a flight home scheduled for Saturday morning. If you were one of those travelers who had a flight canceled, or you know someone who might be dealing with these headaches, the Better Business Bureau was offering some tips. The U.S. has no federal regulations requiring airlines to issue refunds to passengers, but the Bureau says the airlines may have their own refund policies. That could mean if you're offered a travel voucher, you can insist on receiving monetary compensation instead.
So keep that in mind. If you don't have any trips planned, or maybe you got to your destination and you have no use for that voucher anymore, you can just go ahead and ask for that refund.
Well, the BBB also recommends travelers keep their receipts for additional expenses caused by a flight cancellation, like hotel rooms or rental car fees. Well, thank you so much for getting your Friday morning started with us here on Mountain News this morning. When we come back, we'll take a look at just one of the many celebrations set to take place on New Year's Eve as we await the beginning of 2023.
And the forecast for the final days of 2022 continue to stay mild, but we might hit a speed bump on the way to 2023. I'll tell you about it in about 3 minutes.